Right, so two big comic book shows premiered last week. I didn't get a chance to get to them earlier, mainly because I just haven't had the compulsion to watch the Agatha show on Disney Plus just because I didn't feel like personally that show was going to be for me. And I've watched the first episode and I was right. But I did watch the first episode of The Penguin, which is DC's big show that's happening at the moment, sequel to, I thought it was going to be a prequel to the Matt Reeves Batman movie. It's a sequel, but I assume there's going to be flashbacks to stuff before the first Batman movie. But I really liked The Penguin episode 1. I can't comment on the rest of the show because it's not out yet, but I really liked that first episode. I'm going to talk about that second. I'm going to talk about Agatha first. Agatha All Along, which I think is the title that they should have ran with from the beginning. If you're going to make a show about Agatha Harkness and make it a pseudo-sequel to WandaVision, but really have nothing to do with WandaVision, it's pretty much just Wanda died after the events of Doctor Strange 2, which is a movie that I'm going to be honest, I completely forgot everything that happened in Doctor Strange 2. I had to refresh my brain and be like, oh yeah, she had a column fall on her and then she died. I'm gonna say this right off the bat about Agatha All Along. I don't care about Agatha as a character. I didn't think she was necessarily that interesting in WandaVision, and I don't think Agatha, comic book Agatha, I don't think she's a strong enough character to be anything other than, a secondary support character. I think Marvel blew their load too quickly with having Agatha be main villain and then be right, the supernatural side of the Marvel universe in film or in Marvel television or in the films is going to be cruxed, but no pun intended, by Agatha Harkness. And yes, she should be probably a character that appears in all of those things. I don't think she should have been a main villain because there's nothing really villainous about her in the comics from what I've read anyway. And I don't think as a character there's enough there to be main character of a show potential. And I just don't like the tone that this show is going for. It doesn't take itself at all seriously. It's way too campy. It's very much trying to be, what if Marvel did Hocus Pocus? And I haven't seen Hocus Pocus. I don't think it's a movie that I'll enjoy. But this is doing what I understand that movie is, which is a campy witch show. Essentially, what if the MCU or Marvel did Charmed? That's what I see this show as. Is it doing it in a good way? No. Is it, where I believe The Witcher is a show designed to create to turn straight men bi. I feel like this is probably a show being designed to turn straight women bi. Like, it feels like where I see a lot of people, the usual suspects coming out and complaining about this show and how quote-unquote gay it is, I feel like that might be its biggest strength, because it's not necessarily written well, it's not necessarily acted the best either. I feel like the people in it are doing the best that they can, but it's a very bad script that doesn't really let the actors shine in any way. Catherine Hahn is doing the best she can, but why I say that this show seems to be the point. It seems to be the point of this show is to make bisexual women, is because Catherine Hahn spends most of the second half of the first episode completely naked. Like, obviously we don't see nipples, but we see bare ass cheek, and I don't have a personal problem with that. I think if you have a problem with that, then you got to look at yourself in the mirror. To be honest, like, we've all got asses. If you've got a problem with seeing one, that's your problem, not mine. But it does seem like this is just let's make, because obviously this show is aimed at women, so it's just let's make women attracted to women. To these women, and I just think, me personally, that's not what I want to. That's not what I read Marvel comics for. That's not what I watch Marvel shows. What I watch MCU movies for. I didn't sign up for Stardust. I didn't sign up for Charmed. I didn't sign up for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And if that's what they want to do, that's fine. It's just not for me, personally. I do think, however, this show has a problem with, it wants every character, like every new character that's introduced, and Sal said about this on Off the Rack over on Comic Pop, said about this as well, and just watching this show, watching this first episode, I couldn't help but agree and feel like it wants you to feel like every new character that's introduced is the coolest character in the room. There's only really two in the first episode. You've got Agatha, and you've got Aubrey Plaza's character, who, if they did name, I cannot remember. But when she comes in, like, dressed as a witch, like, I'm gonna kill you, Agatha, it does feel like, A, it feels very Saturday morning cartoon, and B, it feels like you want the audience to feel like, holy shit, that's the coolest character I've ever seen in anything ever. And if you try too hard to do that, it comes off as really campy, and maybe that is on purpose, but I don't think it is, and I think it's just either, it definitely isn't a lack of budget, because Disney throws so much money at these shows. So it's not a lack of budget. I think it's just a lack of time, and a lack of, care, and a lack of restraint as well. I think the biggest problem, and I think that is what we're seeing with so many Marvel projects at the moment, is this lack of restraint. You know, this show doesn't need to exist, but because it does, and because they want to go so ham-fisted in, let's make this as witchy as possible, let's make this as in a good way, gay as possible, and let's just go no holds barred, and maybe some of the holds are there barring you for a reason. Maybe, like, maybe this isn't the best show to do. Maybe, or maybe this just isn't for me. Or maybe it will get better. I'm an optimist in that way. Maybe the show gets better. I don't know, but I think even if it does, even if this is for the people that this show is for, even if you really, really like this, I don't think it's for me. Moving on to the other side of the comic book pond with what DC is doing, their big show, Penguin. It's amazing. It's brilliant. It's like, this is going to be the thing that is up for all of the awards. This is like The Sopranos, but with comic book characters. It's not even like a superhero show. You can be a complete, like, you could hate the MCU, you could hate everything Marvel, and you could hate Superman, you could hate everything that Zack Snyder did with the DC Universe, you could even hate that first Matt Reeves Batman movie. If you hate that movie, you're probably not going to like the tone of this. I love that movie, especially on a second watch. I think that movie is so much stronger a second time round than it was the first. Even though I loved it the first time round as well. But I feel like the tone, this little pocket that Matt Reeves has made for Batman, and hopefully Robert Pattinson is the Batman that we get with David Corenswet and, you know, now Kyle Chandler as Green Lantern. What the fuck is that all about? But hopefully Robert Pattinson is the Batman that we see in the new DCU proper, because I think he's really good. I think Robert Pattinson has had the biggest, like, 180 flip of going from Edward Cullen in Twilight to being now one of the most exciting actors working, and being like one of my favourite actors working as well. Have you seen that trailer for Mickey 17? That movie looks amazing. Like, I have no idea what it's about. I haven't read the book that it's based on, obviously, because as I've made quite clear, I don't read many books. They're all behind me. I don't read that many. I haven't read that many. I want to read more, and like everything that's like delved me into watching different like book review YouTubers, mainly Daniel Green. I'm gonna be completely honest. That is the only one. But my not even TBR, or my TBR as in to buy list, or my TBL, my to buy list, has gotten extensively weighty. And I think, like, next year is going to be my big year for just reading books. But yeah, Penguin is great. I love the tone. I love the tone of this world. This show, I feel like, is going to be more light-hearted than the movie. It's going to have a bit more levity just because of what kind of character the Penguin is being portrayed as, and this kind of like dark humour that the show is going for. It's not going to have like an MCU tone. I don't feel like, and I don't feel that in here. It's just, you know, the Penguin, how he's being shown, is like this very like slimy, smarmy, wisecracking like guy, and somehow they have made you root for Penguin. Like, you want him to succeed. You feel like out of everyone that you're watching, all of these like gangsters and criminals, he's the most compelling and captivating. He's the one that you want to root for. And, I mean, the show's about him. You should want to root for him. I just feel like this is like a really good, just street level show. And I hope, with Matt Reeves behind it, I hope it stays street level. And I hope we don't see Batman at all. Hope Batman is not in this at all. I wouldn't mind a tease at a Robin, a tease at like maybe a Dick Grayson, even if it's just an Easter egg, even if it's like Penguin goes to see the Flying Graysons at the circus at one point, or like or anything really. Or literally anything. Like, he could go to a mechanic and the mechanic's son is Jason Todd. Something like that, maybe. I don't know. I've got, there's so many possibilities with this show. And I'm invested. I love the cast. Clancy Brown is great in pretty much everything that he's in. The makeup on Penguin as well. A lot of times with actors, you can tell who it is under the makeup, or they leave a little bit of the actor's face under the makeup. With this, if I just threw a picture up of the Penguin in this show, you would not believe that that's Colin Farrell under it. He does a great job, and I think this series and the Batman as a whole is really showing off his acting ability, because so many other things that he's in just don't. And he's a really underrated actor, and I think this show and the Batman proves how good he is as an actor, because you do not know that it's him. From like the voice, from the makeup, from the way that he moves. It's just, and I think it's the perfect pilot. It makes you care about the characters, gets you immersed in the world. Gotham still feels like a character, even in a show. It feels as much like a character as it did in The Batman. Yeah, just great. And I think, obviously both of these shows cannot be compared, really, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just saying, the Agatha show came out, or the first 2 episodes came out. I only watched 1 episode because, to be honest, I couldn't get through 2. I couldn't get through 2 of those. It's just too much for me. But that came out, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the tone. I didn't like much about it, apart from seeing Catherine Hahn's bum. It's the best part of the show, 10 out of 10. But everything else around it is like serviceable. I mean, it's not a horrible show. I don't think it's as bad as like Secret Invasion levels. We don't get any like offensive tropes like fridging, but we do see like Aubrey Plaza lick someone's hand, which is weird. Just a weird show in general. And then we've got the Penguin, which is great. I have very little I have no complaints about Penguin. I have all of the complaints about Agatha all along. So yeah, I hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the Penguin, what you thought of Agatha all along. Please do not spoil either of these shows in the comments. You can't really spoil Penguin because only one episode has come out of that. Please don't spoil the second episode of Agatha all along. I only talked about the first one in here. But that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Peace.